Welcome to our explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we're tackling the single most effective habit you can possibly build, learning how to learn. And honestly, whether you're a student or not, mastering this skill is a genuine superpower. We're going to show you how.
So, what's the secret to being a great learner? We usually think it's about putting in more hours, or maybe buying better books, or just having some kind of raw intelligence. But what if I told you the real secret to mastering any subject has nothing to do with being a student at all?
In fact, it's kind of the exact opposite. Here's this powerful, almost counterintuitive idea. The absolute best way to truly learn any topic is to prepare yourself to teach it to someone else.
Okay, so before we can learn the right way, we really have to understand how we so often learn the wrong way. Let's take a look at the 5 most common mistakes that hold us back, as identified by Stanford learning expert Professor Candace Thill.
So Professor Phil pointed out these 5 specific habits that create the illusion of learning, but they actually prevent any deep understanding. Let's break them down, starting with the one I think we're all guilty of. First up, just highlighting. Running a bright marker over a sentence feels productive, but it's a totally passive act that almost never leads to real retention. See, true learning is active. So the fix? The next time you find an idea worth highlighting, stop. Rephrase it in your own words. Take some notes. You gotta make that idea your own. The second mistake is avoiding the hard stuff. We often think that struggling with a concept means we're failing, so we kind of skip to the easier parts to feel better. But learning actually happens during that struggle. That moment of difficulty, that's your brain literally forging new connections. So the fix is to lean right into what's difficult, knowing that the challenge itself is the whole point. And mistake number 3, cramming. We've all done it. It might work for a test tomorrow, but let's be honest, you won't remember any of it next week. Now, this analogy here is perfect. Cramming is like using your computer's temporary RAM. The information is there for a second, and then poof, it's gone. Spaced, consistent learning, that's like saving the information to your hard drive. It becomes permanent. And the last 2 mistakes are kind of related. First, ignoring critical feedback, especially when you don't want to hear it. And second, believing your intelligence is fixed. Saying things like, "Oh, I'm just not a numbers person." The truth is, your capacity to learn is like a muscle, not a static number. It can always be developed.
So, if that's how we learn wrong, who can show us the right way? Well, let's turn to a man who was a true master of learning. Meet Richard Feynman. He was a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. Just a brilliant mind who helped us understand quantum mechanics.
But he wasn't just some academic locked in an ivory tower. He was a master problem solver who famously and very publicly uncovered the cause of the Challenger space shuttle disaster.
And on top of all of that, he was an artist, a poet, and even a bongo player, which is just a perfect testament to the power of a deeply curious mind. His entire philosophy was built around this one idea you see here. The ultimate test of your knowledge isn't using a bunch of complex jargon, it's explaining something in incredibly simple terms. This single idea is the foundation of his entire learning technique. So how did he turn this philosophy into a practical method you can actually use? Well, it all started with a simple notebook he kept at Princeton. On the cover, it just said, "Notebook of Things I Don't Know." That honesty right there was the beginning of his 4-step process. This is it, his 4-step cycle for true understanding. Step 1, study. You just dive deep into the topic. Step 2, teach. Then you try to explain it out loud in the simplest terms you possibly can. Step 3, fill the gaps. And you will get stuck. That's the crucial part. It shows you exactly where you need to go back and learn more. And finally, step 4, simplify. You review everything and refine your explanation, using analogies to make it crystal clear. Now pay really close attention to step 3. This is where the magic really happens. When you are forced to explain an idea and you stumble or you get confused, you've just pinpointed the exact edge of your own understanding. Actively identifying and then filling these gaps, that's the key that turns superficial knowledge into true mastery. So those 4 steps are an incredibly powerful tool. But can we go even deeper? Can we distill this amazing technique down to its absolute undeniable core? Just like Feynman always pushed for simplicity, we can simplify his strategy. This entire powerful mindset can actually be captured in just 3 words. Teach to learn. That's it. This is the core principle. If you truly want to master something, just commit to explaining it to someone else. You don't need a classroom. Just tell a friend, hey, I learned something really cool today. Let me explain it to you.
And what's so amazing is that when you adopt this one simple mindset, it automatically forces you to avoid all 5 of those common mistakes we started with. To teach, you have to rephrase ideas in your own words. You have to confront the difficult parts you can't explain. You need real long-term knowledge, not just crammed facts. You naturally open yourself up to feedback, and you prove to yourself over and over that your capacity to learn can and will grow. Ultimately, this isn't about memorizing facts for a test. The teach-to-learn mindset is about something much bigger. It's about integrating knowledge so deeply that it becomes a permanent part of your life story. So really, there's only one question left to ask yourself. What new thing will you learn, not just for you, but so you can share it with someone else? What will you teach next?